Hello. I was just riding back through town and there were a couple of brand new BMWs driving past me with their lights full on. It's about 10:30 and it's bright sunshine outside. And these cars have got their light beams full on. Gurdjieff says that human beings have fallen to a level so low that even the worms are overtaking them, that it is undignified to be this stupid. Now, I was just thinking this morning about the idiotic modern spirituality, non-judgement or witnessing, and how it relates to the stories in Beelzebub's tales about sacrificing one-brained beings, which seem to take up quite a lot of that book. What is that really about? What is Gurdjieff trying to tell us? What does it mean to sacrifice a one-brained being? Well, it means to, and this was pointed out to me by a certain commentator on the Fourth Way, so I thank him for that. It basically means that when you have a feeling, you ignore it, you refuse it. Instead, you don't judge it, don't judge people. Judgment is bad. Whatever you do, don't be that feeling. It would be bad to accept that feeling as yours and become alive. And people wonder why life is meaningless. It's meaningless because every time you have a feeling, you refuse it. You refuse, especially when they get to a certain level, you refuse to be sad, you refuse to be holy, you refuse to be sexy, you refuse to be angry. Let's witness it because we're all Buddhists living in outer fucking space with Eckhart Tolle. Awareness is the awareness of the awareness is the fucking awareness. Let's join Rupert fucking Spira and Jiddu Krishnamurti, who don't think because they're free from thinking and free from feeling and free from everything, and they live in happy land with the idiots of modern spirituality. All living in a world that is meaningless because every time you feel something you refuse to feel it because it's judgy. Must not be judgy, right? See how stupid this is? Everything is being taken over by mechanical forces. You go to work, but you're not allowed to think your own thoughts. You have to think the health and safety thoughts. You're not allowed to use your own hands or your own procedures or make your own decisions. And so, the less people participate, the less people are allowed to participate in life, the more there are stillborn people who they sort of drift through. You still get paid, even though you're not really allowed to initiate any action. You're not allowed to have an opinion unless it's one of the official opinions. And you live in a state of witnessing because you are betrayed. Your whole existence is betrayed. Now some people say, oh, it's amazing, everything just happens, we're witnesses, we're so witnessing. Isn't that wonderful? It's not wonderful, it means you're dead. Some people think it's a virtue to witness things. When you don't participate, you may as well be dead. And those people who promote this kind of bullshit are dead. And people wonder what the problem is. Oh, I don't feel good, life seems meaningless, I wonder what the problem is. Yeah, let's wonder together. Human beings are falling in a big way, and I don't mean just this year, I'm talking about over thousands of years. To get to this point, those lights of that BMW that went past me, it is awoken, and what has awoken is a powerful mechanical force that is eating people alive. That is awoken, and those lights are that mechanical force that is awake and it is now eating through human beings as they decay. That is what woke means. What is awoken? A mechanical force that has come to eat up human souls since they refuse to exist. After you have refused your existence again and again and again, all those feelings and thoughts become isolated from you. They become crystallized. Crystallized is a word that Gurdjieff uses to mean that they've become solidified. They have become structures in their own right. All those feelings and thoughts and events that happen to you, instead of being them, you have orphaned them, and they are like orphans who live around your head, and that becomes the false consciousness. Where do you think it comes from? That's exactly what it is. You've been taught to do that since you were young. You orphan yourself. And then you live in a fake smile and struggle with your life. Meanwhile, those orphaned feelings cause you trouble. You say, oh, I'm angry. You're not angry. You're experiencing something that you have orphaned. My friend, that is you. If we look at Gurdjieff's model of digestion, now his idea was basically that as we live, we are digesting things and converting them. Of course, we do that with food, but also with air, and also with our experiences in general. Each experience, we're trying to learn things from that. We are an engine, a cosmic engine. In the same way as a plant is digesting the sunlight, we are digesting our psychic experiences, our impressions. Everything we see and feel, all those quite subtle and complicated impressions that we receive from the world. We are digesting them, or at least we should be digesting them, and thereby performing our part in the reciprocal maintenance, the energetic reciprocal transformation of the whole universe, except when you refuse it, when you become non-judgmental. Because a judgment is a way to digest things, to learn. How can you learn if you don't judge? How can you learn about anything if you don't judge? This is bigger and this is smaller. This works and this does not work. If you refuse to judge because you want to be happy, then you refuse to learn. And then you no longer participate in the cosmos. You become a stillborn creature who refuses to help life itself. You walk around in a daze. You say, I don't see this, I don't know this, how can I tell? You put your lights on in the daytime. You drive around your BMW with your lights on in the daytime because nobody wants to judge, nobody wants to know, nobody wants to think or feel or do anything anymore. Stillborn human beings. The stillborn modern world. Now this is something else. Materialism. Materialism is a word that is used to describe the modern world. But we are not materialistic, we are degenerate. Somebody who's materialistic is like the ancient Greeks. They pick up the spear in their hand and they thrust it into a wild boar. They fight and they dance and they fuck. These people are materialistic because they live in the material world. Modern humanity is not materialistic. We are degenerate. In other words, our senses no longer function and we no longer respond to the world. We no longer respond to the world. We no longer respond to ourselves and live in fear, in false values, and with every single part of us that should be alive has become orphaned and crystallized into a false consciousness. QED. Some more thoughts on the sacrificing of one-brained creatures, meaning your thoughts and feelings that arise from the minds of the one-brained meaning from the lower stories of the human ray of creation. Why would you kill an animal on an altar in order to get you a benefit? It's like you're blaming somebody else or using somebody else in order to get something. It's an externalization of your power. The power of God, if it is to flow through you, and if you are to own it, must travel through your ray of creation, according to the Enneagram, meaning the 7 steps and the tying up of the lower 3 steps into the lowest story, which resolves into the first center of the middle story, and so on. That is the only way power can travel through your soul. And your soul exists as a higher being body according to your ability to channel the power through. Another critically important revelation I've had is that the world is completely just in every way. There is total justice. And if bad things befall you, it is simply that you are living wrongly at every level, in every way. Human beings who live in all sorts of illusions and delusions, bad things do befall them. And so I guess it's not a free lunch. There is justice, but it is also buyer beware. You have to learn how to live properly. And if you do not, you will not. So the universe will reflect you, but your education, if you like, is up to you. And you better learn well. But I say this because human beings talk all the time about injustice. Isn't that what half of our public discourse is about? Righting wrongs and injustice. Maybe it's not even half. Maybe it's all of public discourse, all of history, all of education is all about righting wrongs. Again, we see an externalization of power and forces, blaming others, trying to correct others or fix problems. We do not, as a species, recognize the total justice of things, to the point where in ancient days, so it is said, human beings lived more than 1,000 years, but the scale of their misunderstanding and the scale of their bad education of their children has caused them to deteriorate to such an extent that they live in fear for 80 years and then die meaninglessly. Do you think that's possible? I think it's very much possible.